So South Africa, yay! So again, welcome to the 2018 planning session with Clever Girl Finance. I love doing these planning sessions at the end of every year, only because, I'm a planner and planning is how you succeed. That's how you accomplish what you really want. That's how you make your dreams your reality. And it's important to have your plans in place, but not just have your plans, but also execute them. So I'll tell you a little bit about me. For those of you who are joining a Clever Girl Finance chat series for the first time, my name is Bola. I'm a certified financial educator. I'm a money coach. I'm a business strategist, and I'm also the founder of Clever Girl Finance. And I'm really passionate about helping women like you pursue your dreams of financial independence and get to a point where you're living your life on your own terms. And that's what this platform is about. And so on this planning session, we're going to be covering a number of things. We're going to talk about your money mindset. We're going to do a review of your 2017, and we're going to put a plan in place for your 2018. We're going to talk about some key actions you can take so that you can succeed with your finances. And we're also going to talk about recession-proofing your finances because I kind of have a feeling that a recession is on its way. I can't predict how mild it's going to be or how severe it's going to be, but you always want to be prepared. You don't want any surprises. And once you are able to have a plan in place to recession-proof your finances, then if a recession comes about, you are fine. And that's, the whole point of planning ahead. So just like I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a working session. And that means that you're going to be doing some work, right? So get your notebooks out, get your pens out, try to minimize your distractions. I know that there's a lot going on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, but this is only going to be a short while to help you plan an amazing year. So try to minimize your distractions. And if you are at work and you're listening to this, it is okay. You can still follow along. Just minimize the screen. You don't need to see me. As long as you can hear me, put your headphones in and it's going to look like you're doing work. And just have your notebook out. You can still participate if you are at work. Okay, so just checking one more time that you guys can hear and see me because Sophia mentioned that she's having some issue with the video, but it looks like it's running smoothly. So if you guys cannot hear me or see me, just type it in the comments. Okay, awesome. Okay, so in order to make 2018 the success you want it to be, right? There's a couple things I needed to decide and agree to right now. So there's three major things. The first thing is that I want you to agree that you are ready to let go of your past and forgive yourself for your money mistakes. And the reason why this is the one thing that I want you to agree to, and if you do agree, I want you to type yes in the comments box. And like I said, this is a working session, so write it down in your notebook. I forgive myself for my past money mistakes. And the reason why I say that is because when it comes to your personal finances, right, everybody makes mistakes. I make mistakes with money. The wealthiest people in the world have made money mistakes. Otherwise, no one would ever lose any money. And sometimes when you're holding on to those mistakes and when you keep judging yourself, oh my God, I made that stupid mistake. This was such a bad idea. When you keep holding on to that stuff, you kind of stay focused on the mistake and you forget to actually take a step back and look at the lesson. What did I learn from making this mistake? And when you don't have an opportunity to step back and look at the lesson that you learned, then you also don't get an opportunity to move forward. You don't allow yourself to take the next step. And the positive thing about mistakes, the good thing about making mistakes, is that they're inevitable and there are major lessons that you can learn from your mistakes. So let's say, you got into credit card debt and you hate this credit card debt. They're charging you a ton of interest. You can't stand it. But now you know how it feels to be in debt. And now you know what that interest pain is like, and you know that that feeling is something you never want to experience in your life again. And sometimes you have to experience something for you to realize how much you don't want it in your life. So look at the mistakes you've made with your money like blessings in disguise, because everybody at some point you're going to make a money mistake. If you're perfect with your finances now, you've never made a money mistake and you're watching this, I promise you at some point you're going to make a mistake with your money. But then what matters is when that mistake happens, what do? Do you YOLO and say, you know what, well, it's a mistake. I'm not meant to be wealthy. I'm not meant to be successful. I'm just going to go max out the rest of my credit cards. I'm just going to go, shopping in the mall and blow my savings because it's a mistake? Or are you going to take the lesson from that situation and say, okay, this was a bad investment. This is why I shouldn't have invested. This was a bad idea. This is what I know I shouldn't have done. This is what I'm going to do differently next time. So those are the choices that you have. And it's important to understand that as women, we carry a lot of self-judgment. We carry a lot of shame. We internalize a lot of things around the way we feel around our finances, and you have to let it go. And it's understanding that if you look at the next woman next to you, she's made a mistake. So your whole goal here is to let go of your money mistakes. No shame, no judgment. This is not the space for that. You don't have time for that. You may feel emotional about the mistakes that you have made. You may want to cry. You may want to, scream, yell at someone. You can break a plate. That is fine. Feel those emotions, right? But once you've done with the crying, once you've done breaking the plates, it's time to pick yourself back up, because you cannot cry forever. You cannot be sad about a mistake forever. At some point, you're going to be like, oh my God, listen, I'm tired of crying. What do I do next, right? So I want you guys to write down, number one, I am agreeing that as I go into 2018, I'm going to forgive myself for my money mistakes. I don't care what that mistake is. It could be co-signing a loan you shouldn't have co-signed. It could be racking up debt. It could have been a mistake that you made yesterday or this morning. But starting this moment forward, you forgive yourself for those mistakes, and it's time to move forward. Take the lessons, know what those lessons are. Take a look at the mistakes, know what the lessons are, but it's time to move forward. Number two, you need to agree that, and you have to understand that whatever you think is impossible is possible, but you have to believe that it's possible. And this ties back into your mindset. So you have to agree that you are going to continuously work on improving your mindset. So I want you guys to, if you do agree, type a yes in the comment box. And the reason why mindset is number two agreement I want you guys to come to is because anything that you accomplish in your life, anything that you want to accomplish in your life is going to start in your head first, right? And it starts with even the most minor things, right? You tell yourself you're going to wake up early. If you in your head, you've told yourself, you know what, I'm going to wake up early because I need to get to the gym. I need to get to work on time. When you hear that alarm, you're going to open your eyes. You're going to get out of bed. But if you've already told yourself, you know what, I'm going to take my phone. I'm going to set this alarm, but I'm putting it at 7 o'clock. But you know what? I'm not waking up early because I'm tired. Guess what? When you hear that alarm go off, you're going to hit snooze. The same thing applies to your finances. If you're looking at your mountain of debt, or if you're looking at your savings goal, whatever it is you want to accomplish with your savings, we're going to talk about goals a little later. If you're looking at those things and you're telling yourself, you know what, there's no way in the world I can ever accomplish paying off this debt or saving this money, then guess what? What you believe is what is going to happen, is what's going to happen. And when your mindset is not in the right place, when you don't believe that you can, then you're less inclined to succeed. Why? Because you're not motivated, because you're not in it, because you're not compelled to do what it takes to accomplish that goal. So whatever it is you want to accomplish is going to start in your head first. You have to believe you can do it. And I want to challenge all of you who are watching this today to give yourself big, lofty, aspirational goals. Give yourself goals that are going to require you to put in work. Because when you make your goals simple, when you make them too easy, then it takes less effort, and you're not going to put in your best self to grow. And that's really important. So I need you guys to agree, number two, that your mindset is everything, and you're going to commit to constantly improving your mindset. The third agreement I want you to make for 2018, even if you didn't do so well with it in 2017, is that I want you to agree that you are going to shift your circle of influence. So write that down. I agree. I'm committing to shifting my circle of influence, because the people you surround yourself make all the difference when it comes to your success. So we just talked about mindset, just talked about forgiveness, right? But when you have certain people in your life, or certain things, it's not just people, it's also the objects and things that you surround yourself with. When you have certain things in your life that are not in line with what you want to accomplish, they're going to distract you. They're going to give you reasons to doubt yourself and what you want to accomplish. People will tell you why you can't do what you want to do. You're going to feel like you're missing out. You're going to feel like you're wasting your time. You're going to feel like this is so impossible for you to do. So the people and the things that you surround yourself with are really, really, really important. So I want you to type in there that in the comments that yes, I am agreeing to shifting my circle of influence. So if there are people around you that every time you talk about savings, they're like, oh, that sounds cool, girl. But then a couple weeks later, you're like, you know what? There's this amazing trip. I want you to book it. Let's go on this trip when we need the break, you know? And it's like, it's only $5,000. Put it on your credit card, girl. I mean, you can go on the trip, but when you think about what you want to accomplish, you're not in line with that. And if that person keeps contacting you, and you're like, listen, I can't afford this. And they're like, why are you being so stingy? Why are you being so selfish? You know, YOLO, YOLO, YOLO. Then you need to shift your circle of influence. If you're telling yourself that, you know what, 2018, I'm going to learn how to invest. This is the year I'm going to learn how to invest. I'm going to come up with a strategy to pay off my debt. I'm going to learn how to budget. I'm going to, whatever it is you're going to do. But then you come home every night and the first thing you do is put on your DVR to catch up on Game of Thrones, Love and Hip Hop. What is it called? What's the Tattoo Ink one called? I don't know. There's just all these shows on TV that take up hours of your time. So if you are saying you want to invest, you want to do this, you want to pay off your debt, this, that, but then you're coming home and you're spending, you know, the 5 hours you have at night watching TV for 4.5 hours and then looking at your finances for 30 minutes, then it's time to shift your circle of influence, because those TV shows, whatever it is that you're doing, right? And it might not be TV, is not Black and Crew. Yes, thank you, Beth. Whatever it is that you're doing is not helping you accomplish what you want to accomplish. And I'm not saying that you can't watch TV. I'm not saying that you can't hang out with, you know, those friends who are not in full support of you, but I'm saying that when you get to a point where you're really trying to accomplish your goals, you're going to have to prioritize your goals over the distractions and over the people who are not helping you accomplish those goals. And you know what's funny is that when you actually get to the point where your finances are good, when you actually get to the point where you look at your bank account based on what you want it to be, and it's at that point and you feel good, those people who are telling you, oh girl, YOLO, put it on your credit card, they're going to turn around and say, hey, can you tell me how you did it? How did you save all that money? How did you pay off your student loans? How did you accomplish all these big things? So again, prioritize what it is you want to accomplish over the distractions. And your circle of influence is, you know, it's everything. You know, if you have people around you constantly telling you that you can't, you're going to be like, you know what? I really can't. Why am I wasting my time? It's an indirect influence on your mindset, right? And you want to avoid that, especially when you're in the early stages of trying to accomplish something major. And sometimes you may need to keep your goals and your dreams to yourself. Like, think about your goals and your dreams as precious cargo, right? They are very precious. And you don't want anybody telling you anything negative to make you feel differently about that precious cargo, especially when, you know, you're in those small stages where you can get influenced and want to throw out those goals. So the 3 major things that I need you guys to commit to, just to recap: forgiving yourself for your money mistakes. Number 2 is committing to constantly improve your mindset. And number 3 is shifting your circle of influence. So are you guys with me? Are you guys in agreement with those 3 things? Are you guys committing to those 3 things? Because they're going to make all the difference with what you accomplish in 2018. Awesome. So now we're going to do a review of 2017. Let's talk about this year. Let's talk about how you did this year. Get out your pens, get out your notebooks. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions, okay? So the first question I'm going to ask you, and you guys may need to come back and watch this session. I'm going to put it on YouTube so that you can access it whenever, but just write down what you can now, and then at the end of this, review all these questions, because again, having, you know, this review and having your plan is really, really important. So question number 1, what was the best financial decision that you made in 2017? What was the best thing you did with your money? And if you want to, you can type it in the comments so I can see what that decision was, but write it down. What was the best thing? And it doesn't matter how small it was, because those small wins matter. So tell me, what was the best money decision you made this year, 2017? And I'm going to give you guys a minute. And the supporting question to that is, what did you do well when it came to your money? What was one thing or two things that just made you really proud about yourself? And it could be you stopped buying coffee. It could be small. It could be like, don't downgrade your small efforts because they count in the grand scheme of the bigger picture. So Dami, you said you saved for a home. That's amazing. Beth, you said you decided to pay off your credit cards and tomorrow you would have paid off your last one. Yay, that's awesome. Okay. Lande, you said getting aggressive about paying off your student loan debt. Okay. So Pamela, you said you paid off your car and your student loans. Shantara, you said you built your first emergency savings fund. That's awesome. Well done. Okay. So you've recognized the best decisions that you've made, right? And you've recognized what you did well, right? So write it down. You can get up and dance around your office, dance in your car, whatever you're doing, like, woohoo, awesome. You guys did amazing. Great decisions, great choices. Applaud yourself, okay? Next, I want to ask you, what was the worst financial decision that you made in 2017? What was it that you didn't do well? What didn't you do too well when it came to your money? And I want you to write down or put in the comments what your frustrations were around that. And I also want you to write down the lessons that you learned from that worst financial decision or from what you didn't do well with your money. So in Kenya, you said you blew a lot of money. Then you planned on a holiday. Okay. And that's okay. Because like I said at the beginning, everybody makes money mistakes. So write it down. Write down what that mistake was, right? Write down what you didn't like. Sophia, you said not being conscious of where your cash was going, not budgeting well. That's fair too. That's okay. So write it down. Write down your frustrations around it. Write down the lesson that you learned. Shantari said eating out too much. That's actually very, very common. A lot of women complain about eating out, but then, they struggle with trying to readjust that. And that's fine. That could be one of your goals for 2018. Write down your frustrations and write down the lesson that you learned. Okay, you hated eating out because you spent all this money. Why? What else could you have used the money for? You racked up credit card debt buying on emotion. Okay. What is the lesson you've learned from that? Rita, you said impulse buying. You signed a contract for a lower paying job and worked in it. Okay. So you've identified those things that you didn't do well. And I want you to write down a lesson. For every mistake you made, for every poor decision you made with your money this year, there is something that you can learn from it. And even if the lesson doesn't seem super apparent, maybe you need to just shelf it and come back to it later today and just, think through, what did I learn? Because for every poor decision, for every mistake you made, there is something that you have learned. And I want you to put that down. And so when you compare what you did really well versus what you didn't do well, right? When you compare your best decision to your worst decision, what was your mindset like around each win and around each failure? And the reason why I asked you to kind of take a moment and go back to where your head was or how you felt when those decisions were happening, your successful choices and your unsuccessful choices, because I want you to pay attention to where you were and determine what you need to adjust emotionally and mentally when dealing with your finances and your financial situations, right? And the reason why I'm stressing on this emotional aspect and this mental aspect is because emotions trigger a lot of financial decisions. And your emotions connect to your head, your mindset, your mental choices, and they also affect financial decisions that you make. So think about where you were. So at that point where, for example, you found yourself impulse buying, all those times you were impulse buying, if you find yourself at the mall over the course of the year, what happened? Were you working at a job you hated and you had a bad day and you're like, you know what, I need to get the heck out of this office. I'm going to go buy something nice so I don't have to think about it. What is the underlying thing there? What is that telling you? That's telling you that, okay, maybe I don't like my job and maybe my job is causing me to feel these emotions, and maybe I need to check my emotions at work. Maybe I need to find a better paying job. Like there is something that you have to have felt when, maybe you felt like, oh, I really trust this person, but your gut was telling you this was not a good decision. Maybe you were in love with this guy. You're like, okay, I'm going to co-sign his loan. Like I want you to pay attention to where you were and determine what it is you need to work on when it comes to your emotions and your mindset, right? Because when you made those good financial decisions, when you had those successes, you're probably like in the best headspace. You're probably feeling emotionally strong. You're like, yes, I can do this. And you're like, I'm going to pay off my debt. I'm going to, get aggressive and make more payments on my student loans. I'm going to pay off that car. You're probably like in that really great space emotionally and mentally. But when you were making those failures, you probably were like in a different space, right? So I want you to think about that and write it down. And I also want you to realize that sometimes becoming successful or making decisions to help you get successful can come from being in a poor space, right? But being in that poor space, being in that emotionally down space can be the trigger to help you get your head in check that says, you know what, I hate feeling like crap right now about this debt. I'm pissed off and I'm going to do something to end it. I'm going to start paying off this debt aggressively. So think about, in each of the instances that you guys have written down about where you did really great and where you didn't do so great, think about how you were feeling. Think about where your head was at. And I want you to take note of that and highlight the areas of your emotional management and your mental management that you need to work on. Okay, so Rita, you said your failure mindset was wanting to be a hero and support your family financially and also purchasing things to build self-esteem. Geneva, you said I was scared of the unknown. Okay. And those are all valid. A lot of times, a lot of us feel those things, right? You feel like you want to support your family. You feel like you're scared if you try to attempt something and what if you fail? But at the same time, you want to bring it back to your goals, right? The things that you want to accomplish. And the fact that knowing how bad you want this, you're going to prioritize them above other things. And sometimes it's a hard decision to make. Like, how do you tell your family that, I'm not going to support you guys because I'm trying to pay off my debt? Sometimes that's a hard conversation, but you have to look at yourself and tell yourself that, listen, if I don't pay off this debt and I continue to support my family by, I don't know, taking them out to eat every Friday night, you're doing a disservice to yourself because you're never going to accomplish your goals and you're going to stay in this state where you're perpetually unhappy about your finances. However, if you can find a way to explain to them that, listen, eating out every night is done because I need to pay off this debt. When you get to that point where you have paid off your debt and you have savings and you have investments and you're earning passive income, then going out to eat is not going to be a big deal. You're not going to be thinking about paying your bill and in your head be internalizing at the restaurant like, oh my God, I can't afford this. You're going to be happy to be doing that for your family. So again, you have to prioritize what it is that you want to accomplish. And so I want you guys to, you can come back to that exercise that I just talked about, but keep it in mind that think about where you were for each instance of the success and the failure and write down how you were feeling. And in each of those failure instances, write down what you need to change. If there's a trigger that causes you to impulse buy, I want you to figure out how you're going to block that trigger. Is it someone in your life that's making you upset? Is it a job? Find a new job, cut that person out of your life. And I don't mean to sound mean, but sometimes you have to get aggressive when you want to accomplish your goals. Okay, so are you guys still with me? If you are, type in yes. Okay, so 2018 planning, let's talk about that. So now we've talked about 2017, we've done our 2017 review, we know what we did great, what we didn't do so great, we know what we want to change, we've taken our lessons, we're going to adjust our circle of influence. 2017 is almost a wrap. It's not yet a wrap, but we're okay with this year now. Now, 2018, how do we make 2018 the most epic year ever? How do you make 2018 your best financial year ever, right? So what do? Let's start. So open up your notebook again, and on a new page, write in 2018. If you're on a computer, open up a spreadsheet, write 2018. And I want you to make a list of all the financial goals. And you can do this exercise for other aspects of your life later, but make a list of all the financial goals that you want to accomplish in 2018 and tell me what they are. So do you want to pay off debt? Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to pay off your car? Try to pay off your student loans, find a better paying job, start a business, learn about investing? What are your financial goals? Do you want to start saving for your kids' college? Do you want to finally start that retirement plan? Do you want to learn about, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to learn how to master budgeting? Write down what your financial goals are. You want to pay off X amount of debt. How much? You want to save X amount of money. How much? You want to invest. How much? I want you to write that down and tell me what those goals are in the comments. And in your notebook, just write down all those goals. Haley, you said all the things I said. Okay, that's good. Does anyone have, more specific goals? Same. Beth, you said the same. Okay, fine. That's perfect. Ditto. You said ditto. Okay, so I guess we're kind of on the same page. You guys want to pay off debt, you want to save, you want to invest, you want to do better at budgeting, etc. Start a business. Okay, so now that you have those 6 or 7 goals, I want you to highlight or star your top 3 goals. What are the top 3 goals? And prioritizing your top 3 doesn't make the other goals invalid. It just means that you're giving yourself a focus to begin with, right? You want to, and the reason why you're going to highlight your top 3 is because you want to give laser focus to the things that are most important to you right now. And once you have completed each of those items, you can check them off and move on to the next thing. But if you try to split your focus, then you're not going to be able to put in all the effort that you need to actually get your priorities, to get it done. So create those top 3 priority items that you want to accomplish with your finances, right? And then for each of those top 3 items that you have highlighted, let's say you want to pay off your credit card debt, you want to save for a house, you want to start a business. Let's say those are your top goals. I want you to next each of them, or maybe you can create a separate page for each of the goals, or on your spreadsheet, create separate columns. I want you to make a list of key actions that you need to take and by when. So you need to pay off $10,000 of debt in 2018, right? What actions do you need to take? How much do you need to be earning, right, to be able to pay off that $10,000? How much do you need to put to that debt every single month to be able to pay it off by December 31st or by July 31st? What is the date you want to accomplish this goal? And even if it seems a little crazy, right, I want you to make aspirational goals, right? Make your goals big and crazy. And when you have that goal there, then I want you to kind of backtrack and say, okay, I want to pay $10,000 by July 31st. What am I going to do to increase my income to pay off this debt? And you guys that follow Clever Girl Finance, you hear me talk a lot about getting aggressive with your goals, because the things that you want to accomplish around your finances, it's not going to take you forever to get there, right? And this is something I want you to put in your heads. It's not going to take you forever to get there. A lot of what you're doing, a lot of the sacrifices you're making are short term, right? So if you are trying to pay off $10,000 by July, for example, right? You don't have a job right now, then your number one key action is to start looking for jobs. If you get a job that's not paying you enough money to pay off that debt, then your next thing is to find a part-time job. Look around your house, see what you can sell. Get aggressive. And when I say get aggressive, you want to get aggressive. And getting aggressive is not always pretty, and it's not always the norm. So people may look at you and be like, why are you working a second job? Why are you acting so desperate? Why are you selling your car? Why are you downgrading your car? Why are you downgrading your house? Why are you getting a roommate? Why are you doing all these things? What's wrong with you? But again, you know what your goals are, right? So if you're going to set those big, lofty, aspirational goals, then you're going to have to get big and lofty and aggressive with the actions that you guys take to accomplish those, incredible goals. Does that make sense? So you cannot say you want to save $100,000 by the end of the year and be like, you know what? I'm going to go to my job, then I'm going to go on vacation, then I'm going to go shopping, then I'm going to, buy 700 gifts for all of my friends and family. It doesn't work that way. If you set big, lofty goals, right, then you're going to have to take big, lofty, aggressive actions. However, if your goals are super simple for you, right, then you're going to do the least to easily accomplish your goals, and you're not going to make the extra effort to do what you need to do better. So for instance, let's say you need to pay off $1,000 in debt, which is not a lot in debt at all. And you say, oh, I'm going to pay this off by December 2019. That's a really simple goal. That means you're probably paying like $25 a month, perhaps, or $50 a month, but then you have all this other free money. Then you decide, oh, you know what? I'm already working on this really easy goal of paying up $1,000. So I have this extra money. I'm just going to go buy a new dress. I'm going to buy a new car. I'm going to do all this fun stuff. And then you look at the end of 2019, you've paid up $1,000, but you've accomplished nothing else. So it's better to create those big goals and fall short, knowing that you put in the big, lofty, aggressive effort, than create little tiny goals and accomplish them and then look back and be like, oh, I only paid off $1,000. Okay, so if you're part of this Clever Girl Finance tribe, your goal is to get aggressive. One of your goals is to get aggressive with pursuing your financial goals. That is, you want to put in the effort because you don't want to be paying off debt for the rest of your life. I don't wish for anyone to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to be working on paying off my student loans for the next 50 years. That doesn't work. That's not what you want. That's not why you're watching this video. So, okay, so now that you've written down your goals and you've prioritized your top 3, I want you to now take a look at those goals, take a look at those actions. In order to support you accomplishing those goals, are there specific things that you need to learn? Right? So you want to save $50,000 in 2018. Are there certain things you need to learn? Do you need to learn about, where you can put your money? Do you need to learn about, investing as a pathway to helping you save that money? What specific things you need to learn? If you struggle with staying on top of your goals, do you need to get some type of accountability? Do you need to work with a friend? Do you need to find a group of people to help you stay on your goals? And then depending on what you need to learn and who you want to work with, who you want to be your partner, where do you get the help? Where are you going to start? And I want you to write it down and put a date next to that as to when you're going to follow up with, I'm going to work with this person. I'm going to buy this book. I'm going to watch these videos. I'm going to ask this friend to be my accountability partner. I'm going to join this program. I'm going to spend time in the library reading about investing. I want you to write down the follow-up action. And then I want you to also think for a second about the actual commitment, right? So you've written all these goals and they sound amazing. They sound awesome, but it's one thing to set your goals and it's another thing to actually commit to them. So committing involves taking the action and it involves going through the motions of getting to your goal. And it means that not every day is going to be perfect. It means that some days you're going to be super excited and motivated and some days you're going to be like, oh my God, damn this, I can't do this, I can't stand this. So I want you to ask yourself that. Ask yourself, what could possibly prevent you from not accomplishing your goals? Write it down. Is it other people? Is it the fact that, oh, maybe some days you're going to be tired? Is it the fact that you love to shop and you don't, write down what it is that could prevent you from accomplishing your goals. The fact that you drive by the mall every single day. The fact that you drive by Dunkin' Donuts every single day and you end up spending $10 at Dunkin' Donuts. You end up spending $50 at the mall. What is that thing? What are those things that could prevent you from accomplishing your goals? Then I want you to write down the counter action you can take to avoid those things from happening or what you can do when those things happen. So let's say you drive by the mall every day and 2-3 times a week you find yourself stopping to spend $50 in the month, to spend $50 in the mall. The counter action you can take is find a different route to drive home from work. You drive by Dunkin' Donuts and you find yourself going in there every single day to spend $20 when you know that you want to put that money to something else. Find a different route. You have this one friend that you hang out with on the weekends and she's just always taking you to expensive restaurants. Find something else to occupy your Saturday. Send her a call to voicemail. Tell her you're busy. Reduce the amount of time you spend with her. So write down the counteraction you can take, right, to prevent that from happening. And I also want you to write down where you need to be mentally in order to succeed. And we talked about identifying where you were when you made those poor financial decisions this year, like where your head was, where your emotions were. So I want you to write down where your mental state needs to be, right? I need to remind myself that I can successfully accomplish my goals. I need to spend more time talking to this person. I need to spend more time reading this type of books. Write down what you need to do to get your head right to be able to accomplish these goals. And then finally, I want you to write down what you're willing to do to stay on track. What are you willing to do? And I want you to commit that to yourself. So for instance, if I want to save $50,000 in 2018, right? I'm going to tell myself, you know what? I'm willing to work a part-time job every single night until I meet that goal. I'm willing to give up going out to eat for the next 6 months until I meet this goal. I'm willing to cancel that vacation that I planned in February to go to Paris with my 10 best friends so that I can pay off this debt. What are you willing to do to stay on track? Because like I said, you're going to have to give up certain things, right? You cannot have your entire cake and eat it because that's just not how it works. And you have to be willing to put in that work. And when you write down what you're willing to do and you put it somewhere where you can see it, it's going to remind you that this is the goal that you wanted to accomplish, and this is what it's going to take for you to accomplish it. And once you accomplish that goal, you're going to be able to go on your vacation. You're going to be able to go out to eat. You're going to be able to do all these things you want to do. There's value in the process. There's value in the journey. There's value in the sacrifice because you're going to learn so much. And the great thing about going through the motions is that in your head, even if you feel like you're punishing yourself, oh, I can't buy that handbag, I can't take that trip, oh, I can't eat out, if you stick with it, when you get to the other side, you're going to have gained so much from a personal development perspective, from a financial perspective, that you're going to look at, your values are going to change. You're going to look at that bag and be like, I have the $10,000 in my account. And this bag cost $1,000. And I really, really wanted it when I was broke, but now I don't even want it anymore. Like your values are going to change. And the things that seem so big to you, right, when you didn't have any money or when you hadn't accomplished your goal are not going to seem like anything. So I want you guys to prioritize your goals, write down the key actions you need to take by when. What do you need to do to be able to accomplish those goals? Determine what you need to learn, who you need to work with, where you're going to get the help. And I want you to commit to your goal. So know what it is that could possibly prevent you from accomplishing your goals. Figure out where you need to put your headspace, where you need to be mentally and emotionally, and start working on staying in that place as much as you can, as often as you can, and figure out what you're willing to do to stay on track. So if you guys are still with me, I want you to type in yes in the comments. And then we'll move on to the next section. Okay, awesome. So now that you have your goals in place, right, I want you to revolve your focus around I want you to look at your 2018 goals, those money goals that you have set, and keep in mind that you want to revolve your focus around 4 key things, right? The first thing is that you need to know right now where you stand financially, and wherever you stand, and I don't care if you feel like, oh my God, I'm doing great. Wherever you stand, right, your focus should be on improving that. Whatever you own, right, whatever assets you own, your focus should be on increasing that. Whatever you owe, right, whatever debt you have, your focus should be on reducing that. And you want to keep those 3 things in perspective so that you kind of know where you're trying to get to at the end of the year. So it's 3 things, not 4 things. It's knowing where you stand and turning your focus to improve it, knowing what you own and turning your focus to increase it, and knowing what you owe and turning your focus to decrease it. So those goals that you have set, that you have prioritized, they're probably going to fit into one of those 3 things I just mentioned. And that is going to give you that outlook for the end of the year. Okay, I have $10,000 in savings, but I need to get to 50. So I have $40,000 to go. This is my focus. Your priority goals should be around that, if that makes sense. And then I also want you to keep in mind that in order to succeed with your money, right, you're going to need to commit to a budget. Your budget is your blueprint. It's what's going to guide you. It's what's telling you how much you own, how much you're earning versus how much you're spending, right? And it's what's telling you how much money you have to pay your bills, how much money you have to invest and to save. And it's basically you giving your money a job to do for you. So if you hate budgeting, you need to get comfortable with it. You need to fall in love with it. You don't have to call it a budget. And don't get too hard on yourself if you're not that great at budgeting, because it is a work in progress. It's like learning a language. It's like learning to ride a bike. It's like learning to swim. And every month is the opportunity to start afresh. You want to be creating a budget every single month because no 2 months are the same. So you want to focus on learning how to budget. Clever Girl Finance website has a ton of content on budgeting. So those money goals you set, your budget is going to help you accomplish them. If you have debt, you want to create a debt repayment plan. You need to have a strategy to pay off your debt. You can't just say, oh, I have 10 debts, I'm going to pay $20 every month to each of them. It doesn't work that way. You need to factor in the interest rate of each debt. You need to factor in any introductory periods on each debt. You need to factor in how much each debt actually is. What is your highest debt? What is your lowest debt? What is everything in between? And then create a strategy on how you pay them off. Are you going to focus on paying off your debt with the highest interest rate first? Or are you going to focus on paying off your debt with the lowest balance? Pick a strategy to pay off your debt, but you need a strategy. Putting $20 to 10 different debts and just forgetting about it is not going to work. That is no plan. That is you just trying to, that's you wearing a blindfold and trying to throw a dart, this way, but then the dartboard is this way, right? You need to have a strategy around your debt. You also want to have a plan to maintain your credit. And one thing I want to emphasize here around credit is that credit is really debt, right? But you can leverage credit to your benefit. So for instance, if you're trying to buy a house, a lot of employers these days will check your credit when you're applying for a job, especially if you're going to be dealing with any financials or if they're going to give you a company credit card. A lot of landlords are going to check your credit to see if you're financially responsible enough to pay your rent. So you want to maintain your credit. So, go on annualcreditreport.com and print out you're qualified for a free credit report every year, right? By law, and get your free credit, get your free report and take a look at it. And see what is on there. If you're working to pay off debt, as you pay down your debt, you're going to see your credit improve. There was the Equifax breach that happened a couple months ago. Pulling your credit will help you determine if that has affected you. And if it hasn't affected you, I encourage you to put a freeze on your credit, especially if you're not applying for any new lines of credit anytime soon. So you want to try to maintain your credit. Take a look at your report, put a freeze on if necessary, see what is listed on your credit and make sure that it's, all the debts that are on there are things that you are aware of. Anything that doesn't look right, dispute it. And keep in mind that your credit is an asset that you have because of reasons like wanting to purchase a home, your employer looking at your credit, your potential landlord looking at your credit. Even utility companies will look at your credit when you go to apply to get a contract phone or cable service or different things. So even though you're not leveraging debts, and if you have a goal to pay off debt, I don't encourage you to leverage that at all. Even though you're not leveraging debt, your credit is something that you shouldn't ignore. You want to pay attention to it because in the future, when you might need it, you want to make sure that it's in good order. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is that you want to actively invest and plan for retirement. So on this session, we've talked about 2018, right? But life goes on after 2018, right? You want 2018 to be your best year yet, but you want to have incredible and amazing years, when you get to the point where you want to retire. You want to have a long-term, financially stable life. You want to be able to live life on your own terms after 2018. And planning for your retirement is what's going to help you. And again, on the Clever Go Finance blog, there's a ton of content on credit. There's a ton of content on retirement savings. But if you have access to an IRA, start contributing. If you have access to 401k, start contributing. And keep in mind that when you're investing, you are investing for the long term. And you don't, investing in the stock market is not the only way to invest. You can invest in small business, you can invest in real estate, whatever path you choose to take. I want you to make a commitment that you're going to start researching every and any investment that you're currently in or that you plan to get into. Understand what it's about, understand what it's costing you, understand the long-term projections. If it's investing in the stock market you want to learn about, go on Amazon, type in Investing 101. You'll get a ton of books that can help you explain the basics of investing. If you want to invest in a small business, in a friend's business, in your own business, understand what the business is about, how much is it going to cost to start this business, how much is it going to cost to run this business? How long is it going to take for this business to become profitable? Those are really simple questions that if you sit down and run your numbers, you can get answers to them. What are you going to sell? How much are you going to sell it for? How many people do you expect to buy it? Where are you going to find these people who are going to buy this product? You need to know those answers. If you're investing in real estate, again, you need to sit down and understand the market, the neighborhood, how much you need to put down, what the rental rates are like, what your mortgage is going to be like, what is the interest rate. You have to know all that information to help you make an informed decision. You should not invest in anything if you don't have a basic understanding. If someone is telling you, oh my God, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, it's so amazing. It went from 200 to 700 and 800 and 900, buy. Do not buy it if you do not know what cryptocurrency is. Do not buy if you haven't looked at the history of cryptocurrency. You want to be able to make informed decisions. Just because something is hot right now does not mean that it's going to be hot forever, and does not mean that it's a good financial decision for where you are right now. So if you're trying to retire early, right, and your goal is to retire in the next 5 years, is putting your money in a highly volatile, highly speculative investment a good idea for you, right? No, it's not. You want to be more conservative. So again, do your research. So I will quickly about recession proofing your finances. So you guys ready to have that conversation? We're almost at the point where we will be wrapping up. Yes? Okay, good. And has this been helpful so far? Are you feeling like, positive and excited about going into 2018 with this plan and this structure and knowing what you need to work on? You guys feeling comfortable with that? Feel free to ask your questions if you do have questions. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Sophia, I said you have lots of homework. Yes, but it's planning. When you plan well, it makes the execution so much easier, and you know the direction in which you're going, right? It's like your car navigation. If you're trying to get to a destination, you have to tell your car where you are, and it's going to map out the route for you, so you know where to follow, right? If you don't have that navigation and you don't know where you are, but you kind of have an idea in your head of where you want to get to, you're going to end up going around and around and around. You may even come back to where you started 100 times before you even, get to your destination, if you even get there. So having this plan is your guide. So the homework is good. Sit down with yourself, do the homework. Okay, so recession proofing your finances. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because, the US economy has been on an up and up for the most part since 2010, really. We're in 2017, and economies are cyclical. So I cannot tell you when a recession is going to happen, but I can tell you that it will happen, because that's just the nature of economies. Economies go up and they go down. They go by supply and demand. They adjust, based on different factors, but that is the nature of, without delving too much into economics, that is just the nature of, when something is like way up and it's like really, really way up, at some point it's going to have to come down back to balance. So I can't tell you when it's going to happen, but I can tell you that, the US economy is due for one. And even if you're not in the US, you know that we live in a very, the way we live in a very global economy. So if something happens in the US economy, affects the rest of the world. Something happens in the European economy, affects the rest of the world. So you want to be mindful of this regardless of your location. And, planning for a recession is not just about the economy, right? It also helps you have a plan if you have a setback in your own personal economy, right? So you can lose your job regardless of how well or how poorly your country's economy is doing, right? So you want to make sure that you still have a plan, you have a structure in place. So when it comes to recession proofing your finances, right? It's all about preparation. The first thing you want to do is bulk up your emergency savings. So we need to have emergency savings. And your emergency savings is essentially your backup in the event that you lose your job, you get laid off, you fall sick, having that emergency savings plus insurance, and I'll talk about insurance in a little bit. You have a flat tire, your car breaks down. Like those are little things that affect your personal economy that bring up expenses you didn't plan for, right? Or the US economy goes down, the European economy goes down, the African economy, whatever country you're in Africa, goes down. You need to have your emergency savings to back you up. And the reason why you have that emergency savings is because when you have that cash, then you're less likely to need to leverage debt. So if you have high interest credit card debt right now, right? Your goal should be to get your emergency savings to $1,000 and then aggressively work on paying off your high interest debt as quickly as you can. So credit cards, personal loans, things like that, pay it off as quickly as you can, and then come back and focus on bulking up your emergency savings. How much do you have in emergency savings? You've probably heard, 3 months. I don't think 3 months is enough. 3 months in a bad economy is not enough time to find a new job. Let's just be honest. Think about, if you were working back in 2008 and you lost your job, it probably took you longer than 3 months to find a new job. 3 months is not enough. And your emergency savings should cover your basic expenses. So not your nice to have, your cable bill, your organic food and all that fancy stuff. It should cover your transportation, your shelter, and your food, basically what you need to survive. So ideally, if you are in a relationship, you're married, you manage your finances jointly, the chances that both of you are going to be out of a job for the same exact amount of time are slim. So you can start with 3 months, but I would say ideally you want your emergency savings to be 6 months. 6 months to a year. And it may sound crazy, but build it into your budget. And every month have that line item in your budget that says emergency fund and have a specific amount that you contribute to it so that as the months go by, you're just building up that fund. And if you have to leverage the money, then you use it for the emergency or for the life circumstance that happens, and then you make a plan to rebuild it back up. So what if you have debt, right? And I think I answered that already. So if you have debt and you're trying to save for emergencies, get it to 1,000 and aggressively pay off your debt. I answered that already, right? So your emergency savings is really important. And even if, let's say you calculate that 6 month number and it seems really big right now, right? And you can only put $100 in it every month, $200 in it, put whatever you can in that savings and put it somewhere where you can't easily transfer money between your checking accounts. Put it somewhere where you're not going to get checks, you're not going to get a debit card, but that if you need it in a matter of a few days, you can get your money. The other thing is when it comes to recession proofing your finances, you want to make sure that whatever investments that you're in are well diversified. So in a recession, especially if it's a bad recession, typically, investments are impacted, real estate, stock market, business. But knowing that you're investing for the long term, you have time to weather any storms that happen, right? You have time to weather the period in which the recession happens, because with every decline, there's always a rebound. This is economics 101. The recession may last 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, but with every down period, there's always a time of incline, of upward movement. So at some point, again, you cannot predict it, you will come out of the recession, right? So you want to make sure that you diversify your investments though, because if one part of your investment is, let's say you put all your money in small business, if that gets the most impacted by a recession or a personal recession, a personal financial situation, you have other areas where your investments are still okay. Does that make sense? So diversifying could be, if you're invested in stock market, you want to make sure that all your money is not in your company stock. So let's say the economy goes into recession and your company has to fold. If all your money is in the company stock, you lose everything that you have. So you you want to make sure that your money is diversified. So if you're in a 401k and you're putting your money in a mutual fund, you probably have a level of diversification there. But again, pick up your phone, call HR, call the brokerage company, and ask questions. Hey, I want to make sure that my money is diversified. I want to know what industries my money is in. If they tell you, oh, well, all your money is in retail, be like, listen, you know what? I would like to know how I can spread out the diversification here. I don't want all my money in retail. I don't want all my money in healthcare. The same applies to real estate. You want to make sure that you don't put all your life savings into buying this one house or buying this one rental property. You want to diversify your investments. That way, if one investment goes down, you still have others that are doing okay. Because sometimes, you know, it's not planned. You may be planning to invest long term, but sometimes you may need your money right now. You may need, you know, some money right now to do something, like something happens in your personal situation, and you don't want to be in a situation where you've lost everything that you have because you put it all into one investment. So you need to diversify your investments. The other thing is that you need to focus on aggressively paying off your debt. So we talked about that, but I'm just going to state it again. If you have debt, it is not to your benefit, especially high interest credit card debt that is of no, you know, that you've spent it and you've forgotten about it. It's of no value to you in a recession, because if you don't have a job, if money is tight, the last thing you want to deal with in a bad economy is a credit card on a bunch of clothes that you bought 2 years ago that you're still paying off. Just do yourself a favor right now and aggressively work on paying off that debt. When it comes to recession proofing your finances, I'm going to talk about the budget again. Fall in love with budgeting, because your budget is your blueprint. It's going to help you plan out your income. It's going to give each of your dollars a job to do for you. And then finally, I want you to think about creating multiple streams of income. So let's talk to that a little bit, because let's say you lose your job in a recession, right? Then if that's your sole income earner, that's it. You have to wait until you find a new job. But if you have multiple streams of income, then the hit is not as severe. So you could have a full-time job. If necessary, depending on where you are, how aggressive you want to get, you could have a part-time job. You could have a side hustle. You know, let's say you're good at baking, you're good at graphic design, you're good at different things that people compliment you on. You can turn that into a way to generate more income. Let's say you have things in your house that are just sitting around. You could turn that into a way to generate more income by selling them. Your investments are earning dividends for you. That is one way to generate more income. And it might seem small, especially when you first start, but as your portfolio grows, as your stock market investment grows, as your business grows, as your investment in other businesses grow, as your real estate grows, right? Your income is your dividends from those things are going to grow as well. So think about ways that you can start to diversify your income. There are different types of income. And so I actually have a list that I wrote down. So I'll tell you what they are. So there are different types of income. There is passive income. This is income that you're not actively working as hard for. And it could be money that you get back from a business that you've invested in. It could be money that you get back from rent when you are renting a real estate property that you own. It could be money that you get from, some sort of, let's say, so for instance, you're working on a business like Mary Kay or Avon, and you have a website, you tell your friends that you sell it, they purchase from you. You don't have to make any products. You just get the product from Mary Kay and then give it to your friends, and then you get the difference. That's one form of passive income, semi-passive income. There's your active income, which is things like your salary, your wages, your bonus, working in your business. And then there is income that you get from your investment. So your the dividends they pay you on your stocks and things like that. So there are different types of income, but you don't have to have, you don't have to do everything I just mentioned. Just think about one or two ways starting right now that you can diversify your income. You can generate more income into your life outside of your job. And I'm a huge fan of increasing your income and having multiple streams of income, whether there's a recession or whether there's no recession. It's just good practice. It's good habits. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Start thinking about ways that you can, 1, increase your income, and 2, increase the number of avenues through which income comes to you. Okay, so you guys still there? Are you guys still good with the content? We're almost done. Okay. So, the last thing I want to talk about was insurance. You want to make sure that you have the right type of insurance because your insurance is your backup to your backup, right? So you want to make sure that you have the right kind of health insurance, auto insurance. It can save you a ton of money. If you have a home, you need to have homeowners insurance. If you're renting, renters insurance. If you have kids, right? You want to protect your family by having the right kind of life insurance. If you are working at a job, right, and your income is like, which for most people it is, your income is what people rely on, your children, your family, your spouse, whatever. And even for yourself, you want to make sure that you have disability insurance. And disability insurance is very inexpensive. If you have disability insurance, it can, if you, for whatever reason, you fall sick or you have to take more time off from work when you have a baby, disability insurance can kick in and help bring in income to your home during the months which your company is not paying you. And that will just alleviate stress. You want to have insurance on personal property. If you have a laptop that's expensive, you have a phone that's expensive, you're wearing fancy and expensive engagement rings, you want to have insurance on these items because in the event that something happens, you pour coffee in your laptop, you lose your phone, whatever, you want to be able to cover it without having to dip into your emergency savings. And a lot of times when you have things like renters insurance, if your home gets robbed, it can cover the things that were stolen from your house. And that is very common. Apartments getting broken into, fires, and these are not things I wish for anybody, but again, it's all about the preparation. And when you're thinking about getting insurance, just be mindful of the value of what you're covering. So you may not want to insure your laptop because you know that, okay, this is something that I can easily replace without it ruining my life. But you may want to insure your engagement ring because you know that's something that's really expensive and you don't want to come out of pocket for that. If you have a business, depending on your type of business, there's certain kinds of insurance that can be beneficial because people file claims against businesses all the time. If your business loses an asset in a fire or through a robbery or something like that, you want to be able to be covered. So I'm not trying to turn the conversation into a morbid or depressing conversation, but the whole point here is that insurance is really important. It is the backup to your backup, and it's essentially you having something to fall back on without having to leverage debt in order to cover it. So insurance is really important. So as you guys go into 2018, right? So you're all ready. We've done this planning session. You have your notes. You're ready to take on the year. I want you to remember, very importantly, these 5 things. Number 1, by being here, by doing your homework, by taking all this in, by actively planning, by reviewing last year, everything we've talked about, right? You are taking ownership of your finances and of your life. If you truly want to live life on your own terms, you have to take ownership. And that is what you're doing right now. So keep that in mind that you have made a huge step by being here. You've made a huge step by wanting to do this. You are taking ownership. And this is going to get you closer to being able to live life on your own terms. Beth, you said, yay, yay. Number 2, it is not always going to be easy, but you can do this. I want you to tell yourself, I can do this. I will do this. It's not always going to be easy. I'll tell you that. Even me, I struggle. There's some days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of trying to build this business. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. But there's some days where nothing goes as planned. Everything goes in the opposite direction of what you've planned. There are days where you're going to have setbacks, but you want to remember that you can do this. Number 3, not everybody is going to understand your journey. Not everyone is going to understand the decisions that you're making, but it's okay, right? And if those people don't understand and they can't get it and they're giving you a hard time, what do you need to do? You need to shift your circle of influence. Number 4, accountability matters. So when you put your goal out there to someone who is serious, so you have to be mindful about who you share your goals with. You have to be mindful about who you ask to be your accountability person. That person has to be in the same headspace as you. That person has to be willing to aggressively accomplish their goals too. And it matters because when you put your goals out there, when you present it to somebody else, then you're like, oh my God, this person knows. I have to do the work. I can't hide anymore. And number 5, remember, gratitude always, regardless of where you are right now, regardless of what position you find yourself, regardless of how upset you get, regardless of any emotions that you feel, you have to be grateful, because there is somebody somewhere who wishes for what you have. Okay, so it's important to be grateful always, and also remember that gratitude brings abundance. So Rita, number 4 was accountability is key. It's important to be accountable. It's important to put your goals out there. Make yourself accountable. It could be with somebody else, or it could be like, your kids can be that accountability that you need, knowing that, okay, if you don't do this, your kids are not going to have that. You have to be accountable for your goals. So that is 2018 planning in a nutshell. And I hope that this was useful. I hope that you guys take everything that you've learned here. You have time to go over your notes, and you go into 2018 motivated and empowered to do amazing things when it comes to your finances, to turn your finances around. If you guys are interested, you can check out my accountability program. There's a link to it on this page, or you can go to Clever Girl Finance Academy if you want to kind of take this on to a next level and work with other women and work as part of an amazing group to improve your finances. Check out my accountability program, clevergirlfinanceacademy.com. But again, it's all about having your plan, and not just having your plan, but executing your plan. And set reminders on your phone, set reminders on your calendar to come back in maybe once a month, to come and look at this plan and make sure that you are on track. So don't just come here and spend this hour with me and then close your notebook, close your computer, and never open this again. You just wasted your time. You want to make sure that you're checking in on your progress, you're checking in on your goals. And if you fall short, it is okay. It's better to fall short of your goals than to do nothing. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for watching, spending this afternoon with me, wherever you are. Happy holidays. I wish you an amazing 2018. Stay focused, stay strong, and remember that regardless of what happens, you can totally do this. So thank you guys, and we'll be talking on my next chat session after the holidays. Bye everyone, thank you.